Face came on today, just so like doing something new. Anyways, I'm gonna be yapping about video games today, specifically remakes, and maybe touch on a little bit of remasters. So, most of you probably already know, but what is a video game remake? Well, a remake is when you take a game, a well-established game, and you completely rebuild it from the ground up and make possibly an entirely new video game. One could have the same characters, same level design, maybe even same color palette, but gameplay and graphics and even map design and soundtrack even can change. There is all kinds of different examples of video game remakes, but a lot of people, especially back then, didn't know what the difference between a remake and a remaster.
As I've already said, a remaster is when you take a pre-existing game, put it on a new console from the previous generation, give it some new graphics, maybe some quality of life improvements, and just ship it off.
Build stupid traps!
There's obvious examples of video game remakes. There's the Dead Space remake, there's the Last of Us remake, all of the Resident Evil remakes. All kinds of remakes that are coming out right now. And there are ones that a lot of people say are very faithful to the original game that basically changed nothing, like the Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater remake or the Last of Us Part 1 remake. And those are fine, I guess. I don't think they should be charging the prices that they're going for right now, though. And then you have kinds of remakes that are most of the part faithful to the original, but are changed in different ways, whether it be gameplay, story, or level design. And it can be good or bad. Now, there are games that also take an original concept that was like maybe a few hours and just stretching it all the way out to pad out runtime and price. One of those famous examples being Final Fantasy VII Remake. They could have just taken the whole game and just made it one giant remake, but they decided to cut it into 3 parts because that's what the original game was. It was 3 disc. I don't know why Square thought that, or maybe even didn't think to give us the option of maybe buying them separately. Well, that's the only option they gave us, but they could have just remade the whole game. And the first part that they decided to remake in Final Fantasy VII Remake, it took like the first hour or so of the game and stretched it out to like a 7-hour remake. It's bloated and some parts are just not fun of it. And now I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack for what I just said about Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I acknowledge that, but I just felt like they should have just redone the whole game in just one big package, or at least if they're gonna do what they did with making 3 separate remakes on 3 separate discs or consoles or platforms or whatever, I felt like they shouldn't all be $50 to $60, sometimes $70, with how the price increases are going this generation. Now, that's not to say the changes in remakes are always bad. Sometimes they're really good, and sometimes they can be really bad. And one example I would like to talk about is Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4. At the core, these two games are the same concept and have similarities, but they're two completely different games. One is the over-the-shoulder tank control game, and the other is an over-the-shoulder non-tank control game. You see where I'm going with this? Resident Evil 4, I think, is one of the most influential games ever made. It basically birthed the third-person genre. There were third-person games before it, but I feel like Resident Evil really standardized the genre. Resident Evil 4. And Resident Evil 4 Remake takes the modern gameplay loop of walking and shooting, crosshair blooming and stuff, and while I do applaud it for what it does, and I already have like, what is it, 150 something hours in it. I think it's a fun game, but I feel like the original was still better. And they cut a lot. And another thing about remakes is they cut a lot of content from the original for whatever reason, which is most apparent in the Resident Evil 4 remake. They cut out the U3, they cut out the Venus flytrap boss, they cut out all kinds of sections of the game, or just changed them in ways that didn't make sense. Like they changed Luis's death because Sadler was the one that originally killed Luis, but they changed it to where Krauser killed him for whatever reason. But it makes more sense for Sadler to kill Luis because he knew him and they worked with each other. Like, that's what he got for betraying Sadler. And then there's obvious gameplay differences as well compared to them each other. As I've already mentioned, there was in the remake you can walk and shoot at the same time, but you don't have the crosshair bloom because all the original guns in the original Resident Evil 4 all just had laser sights. But in the remake, they have dynamic crosshairs and stuff like that. And then there's also parrying, which I do admit is a really cool mechanic to put in Resident Evil 4 specifically. The other remakes go with, they have the like sub weapon, like a knife or like grenades stuff, but they had, or at least two had durability as well. The durability comes back in the Resident Evil 4 remake, but it has more use in the remake than in Resident Evil 2. For Resident Evil 4, you can use your knife for parrying, for silencing weapons, or using stealth kills. And I really like the concept of parrying because it removes a lot of cheap one-shot kills like Dr. Salvador or these stupid Plaga's bug things. And it's really cool to be able to escape in a death that would have otherwise killed you had the parry not be there. And then we have situations like The Last of Us. Okay, so The Last of Us came out around the end of the PS3's lifespan in 2013. Immediately got a remaster in 2014, and then it got a remake in 2023, I think it was. A lot of people said it was unnecessary and plays exactly the same, but while the gameplay loop is generally the same and they kept all the story the same, they didn't cut anything or anything, they just burst it up with new detail, and they said they made it from the ground up, and I believe it. While the gameplay loop is the same, it doesn't feel exactly the same. There's subtle things like the movement, how the melee combat works in the shooting. They redid the graphics, the sound effects, literally everything about the game. I feel like if you already have the remaster of The Last of Us or even the PS3 version, then you don't need the remake. But for people that are first getting into the series, if they can catch a good deal or sale on it, then I feel like they should go for the remaster because it's the definitive way of experiencing The Last of Us. So yeah, I don't know how successful this video is going to be, but I wanted to try something new and see how it goes. That's about it. If you want to see my other videos, you should be able to find them on the channel. Please tell me how you like this, because I want to try different stuff, and I hope this video is successful. I have really been unmotivated to make videos lately, and I just really hope that this one can take off, and I hope you guys find it interesting or enjoy it. So, that's about it. I hope you guys have a good day. I hope you found this video interesting. And yeah, that's about it. Make sure to stay comfy.